32 and 31, where we do all 32 teams in 31 days during the month of July. If you have not, make sure that you do hit that like and, of course, subscribe to the channel for football content, news, streams, and more. We have a good time, always a great time, and I'm excited to get back to football with all of you. I know you guys have been waiting, and I am excited to be back. With that said, we're going to be going through all 32 teams in the next 31 days for the month of July. Also, we'll be doing all teams in alphabetical order. So today we will be starting off with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, we'll basically be going through the pros, the cons, all that fun stuff as far as what's going on with the team. My thought process as far as where the Cardinals are going to end up this year, and obviously we'll break down the schedule and all that fun stuff. So make sure that you guys drop it in the comments. Let me know how you feel as well if you watch this after the stream. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with 32 and 31 Arizona Cardinals. Let's go ahead and break down the depth chart. Let's go ahead and get started here. Now, obviously, the depth chart can change. We may see changes, obviously, before the season starts. But for right now, you've got Kyler Murray at quarterback, obviously. For your second string, you got Desmond Ridder, third string, Clayton Tune. For your running back, obviously, James Conner. Talk of the town, Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver that Cardinals just picked up in the draft. Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, Trey McBride, Paris Johnson Jr., Isaiah Adams, Hijalt Froholt, Will Hernandez, and Jonah Williams for your Arizona Cardinals offense. As for the defense, you have Zaven Collins, Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, BJ Aguilari, Mac Wilson Sr., Kazir White, Dennis Gardeck, Sean Murphy Bunting, Jalen Thompson, Buda Baker, Max Melton, Garrett Williams, and then for your special teams, Matt Prater, Blake Gillikin, DJ Dallas for your punt return, kick return, and then Aaron Brewer for your long snapper. Now, obviously, like I said, there's going to be changes as far as with this Arizona Cardinals offense and defense potentially moving forward towards the season. And we'll obviously break that down again if we need to. But for right now, right, for what we're seeing as far as with what the Cardinals have at this point, I do see a solid team that can be turned into something great. Now, it's very easy for me to get into the conversation of, beating up on Kyler Murray. I'm not going to do that yet. I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do it yet. Shout out to Dennis. What up, man? What's going on with you? Forrest Green in the house. Daniel in the building. What up, Daniel? Cameron says, what up? You think Marvin Harrison will be any good? I'm going to get into that soon. I'm going to get into Marvin Harrison soon. We'll talk about that in a moment here. Yeah. So, as far with the depth chart, I like what I see. I think the Cardinals do have a solid team, especially with the pickups that they got in the draft. Now, before we get into the actual schedule for this year, I want to go back. I want to talk about last year because I think this is very important to understand as far as how we should be looking at things this year. Shout out to Jeff King in the building. Says, in my humble opinion, they will be what they have always been, which is shit. Love you, brother. Shout out to you, Jeff King. Much love, man. Love you too, bro. Listen, I think they got a chance this year. We're not going to beat up on these Cardinals just yet. We're going to give them a chance going into this next season. But like I said, we got to go back before we can go forward. With that said, getting into last year, it was very tough to watch an Arizona Cardinals game. You literally could bet every time on them losing, and you would have made ridiculous amounts of money. Now, obviously, we don't condone betting over here, but if you were to bet, if you were to bet last year, you would have won. It looks like when I'm looking at this record here, you would have won everything except for. Yeah, that's right. You would have went 14 for 18. Well, 14 for 17 because you get the bye week. But you get what I'm saying. So we'll start it off. They lost against the Commanders. They lost against the Giants. They had a ridiculous win against Dallas, 28-16, which I don't really think anybody's seen this coming. So it's one of those kind of situations where you're like, damn, they really beat Dallas, and Dallas was, you know, everyone was talking the most garbage about Dallas, and it was kind of funny. It was made into a meme because nobody expected it. After they beat Dallas, they then go on to lose against the 49ers and the Bengals and the Rams, Seattle, Baltimore, Cleveland. Then they beat the Falcons in a 2 point game, 25-23. They actually won that game. Turn around, they lost to the Texans, they lost to the Rams. They ended up beating Pittsburgh 24-10. They went on their bye week, came back, they got destroyed by the 49ers 45-29. They beat Chicago, which was a really interesting game as well, 27-16. Then they beat the Eagles, which I predicted this one. They beat the Eagles 35-31. Then they lost to Seattle in a 1 point game in week 18, 21-20. Now, obviously, I don't want to beat up on you Arizona Cardinals fans too much, but I could only imagine the anger and the feeling of the pit of your stomach as far as all the problems and all the issues that you've seen with this team. Now, we obviously can say, well, Murray was out, Jay. Murray was out, and that's the reason why the Cardinals were playing like trash. And we expected Dobbs to do this and Dobbs to do that. And Dobbs wasn't the guy. He's a journeyman. He was garbage too. What do you expect? I would almost agree with you because it would make sense, right? It would make sense for Dobbs to come in and change things, but unfortunately, we have not seen Kyler Murray. It's almost like you got to send out a search party to find his game. Where the hell is Kyler Murray? You know this. You know, remember the show? Where in the world is Carmen San Diego? Where in the world is Kyler Murray's game? His focus, his leadership, his field sense, everything that he's supposed to do on the field. Where is it at? And that has been the question, and that is going to be the question coming into this next season. Now, I'm not going to say, hey, based on these past results, when we get into next season, this is what we should expect. But I will say this. If I look at when Kyler Murray comes back into this specific season of last season, it really wasn't too much of a difference because Dobbs was putting up 228 yards, 265 yards, 235. Murray comes back, he's putting up 249, 214, 256, 145. So the real question for me at this point is whether or not Kyler Murray is going to get it together for this team so they can go out and win. Quick shout out to Jeff King coming through with the $50 super chat, ladies and gentlemen. Starting it off strong for the 32 or 31 in July. Says, I'm going to throw you a 50 because I appreciate your optimism and I love your show, but they still going to be shit. Shout out to you, Jeff King. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. I do appreciate you, my friend. I do appreciate you. Selena, what up? What's going on with you? Selena in the building says, don't be aging us like that. Good to see you and hear you, man. Selena, what's going on with you? It's been a while. I hope you're doing well. I hope the family's doing great for you, and I'm glad to see you in the building. Shout out to the Rich Gang in the house, Sassy in the building. Let's go. Much love to you, Jeff King. I appreciate you, man. Always coming through with the great banter. Now listen, I know that a lot of people think they're going to be shit because we've seen that. That's what we've got from them. But the problem is you have a talented squad. And even if I go back to the Larry Fitzgerald days, right? The Watt days, when they actually were a contending team, you would sit there and you'd say, well, damn, the Cardinals do have, something that they can work with. What are they missing? What is going on to where they just can't get over the hump? And obviously you could, blame some of the defense and then try to put it on the offense. But I'll tell you this right now. There's nothing that you can say or there's nothing that you can do to basically get around the fact of there's winning quarterbacks and then there's quarterbacks who are just okay with losing. And that's not to say that they don't want to win, but if they lose or if they get in a rut, they're okay with it. And that's the problem that I've been seeing with Kyler Murray over the years. I'm not knocking the man's talent. I'm not knocking the man's ability to go out there and play for 4 quarters. What I am knocking is his ability to go out there and step out in this field and actually put in the work ethic and the energy that this team and this franchise needs to win. Now, I will say this at the end of the day, with this new team and with this new wide receiver core, I think he's going to be able to come in and be refreshed. I think that, this organization, the offensive coordinator, the coach at this point is going to be able to put together a package for him to go into next season where he can actually do something with and he can actually create some offense to actually get this team going. Yes, we've seen some surprising moments out of Kyler Murray, but I don't think we've had a real, true, complete season where anyone's saying, wow, the Cardinals are really going to end up in the playoffs and do some damage. We haven't seen that. And I think that's what I would like to see from Arizona. That's what I would like to see from Kyler Murray, and especially with the talent that he now has on this team. Now, I do obviously want to get into the schedule for this season because this is what you're here for. This is what you guys want to know. Salinas is staying busy, man, working and dealing with a work injury. Annoyed. Just dealing with that for like 2 months now. Other than that, happy and healthy. Well, first and foremost, I hope you're doing well. I hope that you are healing. First and foremost, I'm sorry to hear that you did have an injury, but I hope you're being taken care of. And they better give you some cop. Better give you some money while you hurt. Better get you some cop for sure. And if you didn't get it, no, I know a lawyer or two. Holler at me. But I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you're healthy and happy and good. Good to hear from you. Kit in the building. What's up, Kit? Shout out to you, bro. This is good looking uniforms for one. Well, I mean, that's a start, right? You got to look good on the field, but playing better is probably more important. So, there. All right, let's get into the schedule. Let's get into this schedule, ladies and gentlemen. I'll tell you this right now. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. At least for for the first 5 games. Yeah, I'd say the first 5 games. Obviously, starting off with the Buffalo Bills, the Bills Mafia. That's going to be week 1. Now, listen, I will say this because I want to give the Cardinals the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to look at you like this. If the Cardinals are able to set the tone in week 1 with a victory over the Bills, that could be a trendsetter. That could be something that gives this team the spark that they need to actually go out there and be something this season. Because I'll tell you this right now. If it were to happen, I'm not kidding, that shit ain't gonna happen. But if it were to happen, it literally could give this team some kind of, great buzz and great energy, great focus coming into this season. And keep in mind, right, they're going to be in Bills territory. They're going to be at Highmark Stadium. Now, if you were to beat the Bills at home, that's going to be definitely a game changer, essentially. After that, it's going to be against the Rams. Now, the Rams are in this weird spot right now. Obviously, we know that Matt Stafford is kind of getting to that point where he's slowing down a little bit. He doesn't have that same step that we expected, to see from him, but he's still able to ball out. He's still able to show up. So I do think this could be right around 50-50 match, right? Obviously, we know that the Rams are having their own issues as far as with injuries and things like that, but I do like Puka Nacua. He's been amazing. That kid can ball. They've got some assets over there. We got to figure out as far as what's going on with the running, so we'll get into that when we talk about the Rams. But I will say this. I think this is going to be, a 50-50 game between the Cardinals and the Rams in week 2. Week 3, they're going to face Detroit. Detroit is going to be balling this year. I don't see them losing to the Cardinals. You know, it could be a surprise though. It could be one of those situations where Dan Campbell makes a crazy decision and it comes down to the wire and everyone's sitting there with, their hands in their on their ass. And they're like, what the hell's going on? Why would you do this to us, Dan? It's something like that. But no, I'm gonna give that to Detroit. Week 3. Week 4, Commanders. Now we know obviously the team was sold. they've made all kinds of changes, and then the team's been sold, and the culture's been changed, and they swapped out quarterbacks, and they're doing a whole new thing with the Commanders. They're trying to change things around. So that could be a wild card there as far as what's going to happen in that game. I'm going to get into the Commanders with you guys, obviously, coming up over the next week. We're doing all 32 teams in the next 31 days, so I will cover each and every team with you guys as we keep breaking these down. So that's another one for me. I think it's a 50-50 between the Commanders and the Cardinals. That can go either way. You got San Francisco. Now, obviously, I'm going to give this to San Francisco just because they have had almost everybody's number. But specifically the Cardinals. Now, obviously, being in the same division, San Francisco is looking to just, mop the ground. But with that said, I think that the issues with Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers are very interesting because I want to know exactly what's going to happen to him and where he's going to go. I do think he has been a core piece of the 49ers offense. So for them to let Brandon Ayuk go, do think that shakes things up a little bit, that changes things. Now, will it hurt the 49ers against the Cardinals? Hell no. But it could shake things up a little bit depending on who they pick up and depending on who takes that role of Ayuk. That could change things. Definitely could. But yeah, I'm giving that to the 49ers. Week 6, Green Bay. I like Jordan Love in them. I think, them letting go of Aaron Jones was a stupid mistake, but obviously they pick up Josh Jacobs. Things are changing over there as far as for wide receiver personnel. Some of the rookies are stepping up. With that said, I'm going to give week say, although it may be a fight. It may be surprising. Week 7, Los Angeles. I'm just not sold on these Chargers. I like Justin Herbert. Obviously, we know that they made changes in the coaching and stuff like that, and there's going to be a lot of different changes when it comes to the play calling, and the Chargers are definitely going to be a different team coming into next year. But so are the Cardinals. So this is another 50-50 for me. Week 8 is going to be Miami. I think Miami is going to blow them out the water, without a doubt. I think Miami is going to come out, hot this year. I'm excited to see what they could do, but I am going to give that to Miami. Next for week 9 for the Cardinals is going to be the Bears. Now, this is also another weird toss-up. You got Caleb Williams. You've got, Dunge. You've got a lot of these guys that are stepping up in a new role. So as far as with shout out to you, Jeff. We got to run love you all. See you. So in the meantime, love, and laugh often. Shout out to you, Jeff. Hit me up, bro. Um, as far as with the Bears, I do think that you're having a situation where it's a new team, new chemistry. Nobody's really going to know what to expect coming into this game. So once again, it's another 50-50. And I'll tell you this, I was talking about this kind of scenario to a few of my buddies. The way that the league is going right now, going into next season, what from a grand scheme of things, and that benefits the NFL, that benefits Vegas, that benefits the bookmakers because the lines are going to be so close and so tight for some of these games. Uh, you guys will see what I say once we get to it. But there's a reason why a lot of these are going to be 50-50s because you just really don't know. With that said, like I said, it's probably going to be a toss-up. Week 10 for the Cardinals is going to be against the Jets. Once again, what the hell is Aaron Rodgers going to do? We know they have the offense. They have a hell of a defense. Can they pull things together and get Aaron Rodgers going? That's going to be that question. So whether or not Aaron Rodgers comes back and they're playing Jets football and they get their thing going is the question of whether or not the Cardinals are going to be able to play well enough against them to beat them. So, yeah, from week 1 through 10, you're seeing highly competitive football from some of the best teams in the league, and then some things that are questionable as far as whether or not they could win. Week 11, they get into a bye week. Week 12, they head to Seattle, another toss-up. Week 13, they go into Minnesota, another toss-up, new quarterback, new team. Obviously, Justin Jefferson getting paid all that money, so he's looking to ball out and keep going on at his superstar elite level. but you've got a new quarterback. And don't get me wrong, I like McCarthy, but at the same time, playing in the NFL, buddy, is way different than college, kid. Way different. Way different. So yeah, I mean, once again, I would give the edge to Minnesota, obviously, just because of the talent level. But we just don't know how Marvin Harrison's going to pan out with Kyler Murray right now. That's a real question, and obviously we will have a better idea as the weeks go past as far as how well this team is going to gel and what the Cardinals are actually going to be able to do. But for right now, once again, that's a toss up. Week 14, they'll play Seattle again. Week 15, they go to New England. New England's went through their changes. New coach. There's probably going to be a new quarterback. Uh, the running game's going to change. The defense is going. There's going to be all different kinds of changes when it comes to New England. Carolina, once again, is Bryce gonna be the guy to change things around and the Panthers end up going down this path where they become good? There's a lot of questions that everybody has going into this season. And just for those small reasons that I mentioned, I haven't even covered everything yet. We're just on the Cardinals today. Um, week 17 is going to be Los Angeles. So they'll face the Rams again. And obviously, week 18 is going to be the 49ers. Now, I will say this. Um, do the Cardinals have a chance here of making a postseason run, right? Because if we try to decipher this in a way that would make sense, well, what am I looking at? Realistically, I don't have them beating the Bills. They may have a chance against the Rams. I don't see them beating the Lions. They may have a chance against the Commanders. I don't see them beating the 49ers or the Packers. Uh, they may have a chance against the Chargers. They're probably not going to beat Miami. They may have a chance against the Bears. I don't see them beating the Jets. I don't see them beating Seattle. I don't see them beating the Vikings. Seattle again. I'll give them New England. I'll give them the Panthers. Maybe the Rams. And then you're not beating the 49ers in week 18. So, just from looking at this at a point of predicting, this looks rough. This looks rough for the Cardinals. And you don't want all that talent to go to waste. You don't want all the talent that Kyler Murray has at his hands right now to go empty-handed, especially going into the season. Now, also, there's two parts that go into this because obviously we know that the talent still has to develop. You don't just go out automatically and have an amazing elite year just because you are talented on the field, especially as a rookie. You got to go out there, you got to get adjusted. Things have to make sense. There's a lot of questions that go into these Cardinals. Now, what can they do to become better? Well, I'll tell you this right now. And this is where I'll finish off what I started earlier in regards to when I was talking about Kyler Murray and how I wasn't going to really beat up on him yet. I think this goes for every young quarterback in the NFL right now. There is a level of, I want to say work ethic, but that's not the right word or the right phrase. I think the level of study, the understanding of the game, the listening to mentors, the spending the extra hours in the playbook, watching the tape, reading the defense. I think all that stuff is what's really important and comes down to whether or not a quarterback like Kyler Murray can actually go out there and be successful. Because at the end of the day, guess what? If he does exactly what he's been doing, this franchise is going to fail, and Kyler Murray is going to end up a backup on somebody else's team. That's just the reality of it. Because this Cardinals team can't waste any more talent on Kyler Murray. And I get it. You paid the kid. I got to look up the contract and all that kind of stuff, but you did pay the kid generous money. So you are trying to get all the money out of him that you can. But I think the reality is this: you can't You can't hold the team hostage based on someone who may not able be able to get them across or over the hump. And I think that's what the Cardinals are. And I think next season is going to be the proving ground for Kyler Murray and where he's actually going to end up moving forward. Now, I'll go ahead and get into these comments with you guys. Says, Jay, I'm taking shots in the baseball game. Let's go. Shout out to you, Eric. What up, yo? Eric says, Cardinals will win against the Jets. We'll see. Eric says, I can't wait for college football. I'm excited, man. I'm excited without a doubt. I can't wait for college football. Selena says, I mean, they have me on light duty and still get my 40 hours a week, so I'm not sure how all that works. First for me, thank you, Jay. Shout out to you, Selena. I hope you're doing well. And that's good. That's really good that they still got you there and you're still able to get work done. So I'm happy for you for sure. 50-50 on that says they need to work on their defense. Notre Dame. Yeah. Um, that's half obviously that's half the battle. So for the majority of the important stats, we know that the Cardinals were literally last towards the bottom. There's gonna, like I said, there's going to be a lot of specific changes that not only need to happen, but have to happen for the Cardinals to even be remotely a contender, and let alone in the NFC West. I mean, the big problem as I go back here, and I'm just gonna pull this up that way because I have my notes here. Uh, the big problem here, once I get into these stats. All right, here we go. Come on. All right, there we go. Once I get into stats here, you look at the Rams, obviously, you look at the 49ers, you look at the Seahawks. Um, coming out of that, you expect obviously the 49ers. That's number one. Uh, number two, you expect the Rams, and then Seattle, and then the Cardinals. That's basically the general theme of what you expect out of the NFC West. Um, coming into this year, that could shake up a little bit, right? Because I'm not really sure as far as effort is going to do this year, and that could be a question as far as how well the Rams do. On the flip side, the Seahawks are kind of in this weird spot with the quarterback situation too, and but they've got a lot of talent over there. I mean, JSN, you got still got Metcalf over there. Uh, there's a lot of talent. Carbonate, there's a lot of talent that I think is one of the things that is definitely going to be helping the Seahawks moving forward. And how the Cardinals fit in this whole thing is all clearly based on Kyler Murray's performance, obviously. So when we talk about this team being what they need to be and get into, some kind of rhythm and get things going, you want to see them get started early on. You guys know I'm a Bills fan, obviously. Just like I said, if they're able to start with the Bills in week 1, even if they don't win this game, but they keep it close, right? That defense shows improvement. They really work on the fact that the Bills don't really have too much chemistry built yet with that wide receiver set and how they've had to change things around. If the Cardinals can capitalize on a lot of that, then that'll show that this defense has promise. Because listen, it doesn't get easy. It's not one of these, they don't have one of these schedules that's like, all right, we're gonna start off hard, then things get a little easy in the middle, or we're gonna start off easy and then things get hard. It's like, all right, you got a tough 3 games. You got, a chance come week 4. Things are gonna be tough for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Then things will be a little easier for you towards week 10 through week 13. And then after that, things get a little shaky. You might have a chance, and then it starts to go back, up that hill. So the bottom line is this: the talent that the Cardinals have at this point is all in the hands of Kyler Murray. And if he doesn't put forth all the energy that he needs to become better himself, none of it's going to matter. all the changes on offense, all the changes on defense, none of that's going to matter because your X factor this year is going to be Kyler Murray, and it's really unfortunate. Uh, shout out, Selena got the jokes. I see you, Selena. I see you, Selena. Speaking of Selena, how about Chris Paul? He over there with them Spurs now. He been everywhere. He was decent on the Suns. All right. So obviously, you guys know that we're doing 32 and 31. Uh, we're covering all 32 teams in 31 days. All 32 teams in 31 days. Now, my normal start time would be 8 o'clock, but obviously we had some issues tonight, which we got it all taken care of, whatever. But that's going to be the theme. Obviously, this is all going to be in alphabetical order. So A through, well, there's no Z team, but you guys get the point. Alphabetical order. We're going to cover all 32 teams in 31 days for the month of July as we prepare for preseason, right? Preseason's only a month away. I'm excited. I'm ready to go. Then obviously we got the regular season, so football is back. I'm excited. I'm glad to talk about it. I'm glad to get things going. And this is where we're at. This is where we're at. Now, I did want to bring up one more thing here because we were getting into the stats. All right. So we'll finish up on the stats. As far as with the team leaders, obviously, uh, Kyler Murray had 1,799 yards, but we're going to attribute that to the fact that, the injury, he was out. Uh, James Conner had 1,040 yards. Trey McBride, he had 825 receiving yards. I mean, beyond James Conner, not really much on the rushing side. I mean, Amiri had 284 yards. He had 58 carries. I mean, so that's kind of almost what you expect. His average is 4.9. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes getting into this next year. Then as far as for receiving, Trey McBride, he had 81 receptions on 106 targets, 825 yards. Marquise Brown, 51 receptions on 101 targets, 574. Marquise Brown is now gone. He is with, yeah, you guys know. And if you don't know, you don't know. He's with Patrick Mahomes in there. Those Chiefs. After that, it's gonna be Michael Wilson. He had 30. He was 38 of 58, 565 yards. Rondale Moore was 40 of 62 for 352. Obviously, a lot of these stats are going to be skewed because of Dobbs and Murray and so much of an issue last year. But on defense, right? I think this is probably the most important part because the defense was pretty much intact. Obviously, we know they had their issues, but the defense was pretty much intact. Kazir White had 53 solo tackles. He had 2 sacks. Buda Baker obviously had 58 solo. Jalen Thompson had 59. Josh Woods 33. Chris Barnes 35. Marco Wilson 41. As far as sacks go, yeah, Dante Stills, he had 3.5. Ledbetter had 1.5. Kevin Strong had 2.5. Zaven Collins had 3.5, 3.5. But BJ Ajulari, he ended up getting 4. And then Victor Demakue had 4 as well. So yeah, when when you're talking about this Cardinals defense, at some point you're going to have to get to the quarterback. Now, obviously, they did draft specifically for that because they needed help. So hopefully, that can be something that is fixed getting into game time. But I mean, when you look at these stats, it comes into the point of how well is the defense being coached, the specific game plans, and then obviously just the overall team morale, because I do think that plays into a lot as far as whether or not a team is not only going to go out there and be able to win, but play at their full potential. Everyone knows that. If your team just keeps losing, how motivated are you to actually go out there and do your job, right? If if you know that your offense isn't going to do what they need to do when you're able to get them the ball, how motivated are you going to be night after night to go out there and get banged up and banged on? Uh, and I think that that shows in the stats. That shows in the stats, and that basically shows us why the Cardinals had such a hard time. Now, obviously, there were games that they definitely chose to step up, and they definitely chose to play ball. And I think it was kind of those moments where you realize that, oh shit, this is actually a team that knows what the hell they're doing. But for the rest of the weeks, it was kind of like they were nowhere to be found. So, with that said, I think the Cardinals have a solid chance of being a different team this year. I do think they have a great solid offense at this point that can be, utilized to its full potential. I think the defense, obviously, picking up and making the changes that they did, they pick up a lot of players in the draft for defense, and I think that's going to help them. But always boils down to whether or not Kyler Murray is going to put in the work for this team and be able to lead them to the promised land. And that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. Shout out to Patty. What's going on with you, Patty? Jacob in the house. What up, Jacob? Says, yo, Jay, when are we doing the Steelers preseason predictions? So we're gonna get through the 32 and 31. So we'll be covering the Steelers probably mid-July, somewhere around there. And then obviously we'll do preseason predictions right before preseason. We do it each week, you know that. Season or preseason, week 1, week 2, week 3, and then we get into the regular season, ladies and gentlemen. The regular season. Selena says D-backs are doing good from what I hear. Haven't kept up with them. Hockey team, the Coyotes. Okay, no, I think he brought a lot of arguments. It felt like for me and the Suns, man. I just don't know what's up. I love my dude Book, like most do, just not what the heck AZ is doing. They're losing. Yeah, unfortunately, the Suns, KD and Book and all that kind of stuff. You expect them to play at a certain level, and you kind of gotta, not even a one fourth of it. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird, and things have just changed for sure. Jacob says, bet I want to see what the Steelers are doing this season. Listen, I can't wait till we talk about the Steelers. Like I said, we're going to do our whole breakdown of them, go through everything as far as Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. That's going to be crazy for a couple of reasons. Because at the end of the day, when you look at what the Steelers are able to do this year with even what they have and the talent and if they can figure out, how to fit these two quarterbacks in the roles that they need to, I do think that the Steelers may be a threat. I do. Some people are like, Jay, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Russell Wilson's trash. Justin Fields is trash. I think Mike Tomlin is the one that can figure out how to get these guys going. Specifically in the realm of taking their best features and making them elevated, right? You've got a running quarterback. Well, they may be able to figure out a situation where they know they can utilize the run and utilize Justin Fields specifically for certain plays. Then obviously, if you need that strong arm, well, then you go for Russell Wilson. Your veteran presence is going to know how to dial it up. So there's a lot. There's a lot that we can get into when we get into the Steelers for sure. For sure. Jacob says, I'm just happy my Steelers don't play you guys this season. Yeah, you know, it's all right. Bills got their own problems for sure. For sure. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about the Cardinals? What do you think about the Cardinals? How do you feel about Kyler Murray? And what do you think they're going to do? Drop it, drop it in the comments. Drop it down below. Let me know what you think. What do you think the Cardinals are going to do? Um, Specifically, my question is, what do you think Kyler Murray's main problem is? Let's talk about that. Drop that in the chat. What do you think Kyler Murray's main problem is and why he hasn't been able to really get this Cardinals team going? As Jacob says, I hope Tomlin sits Wilson by week 3. We'll see. We'll see. Celia says, just like you said, he's not showing up at quarterback. He came in so big headed, and now he don't know where to go. So, let me go back here. Let's do a little deep dive into Kyler Murray. All right. So if we look at last season against the Steelers, he had a win 24-10. He was 13 of 23, had 145 yards. He had one touchdown, zero interceptions. He was sacked twice. He had a QBR of 52.4. Against the 49ers, obviously took the loss. It was 45-29. He was 39 of 26. He had 211 yards, one touchdown, two interceptions, and he was sacked three times. Now, granted, 49ers defense is different, completely different. And that's a divisional rival there. So we're gonna give the 49ers the benefit of the doubt. But also, that's not to say that Kyler Murray couldn't have done better because he could have. Obviously, then they had the loss against the Bears, 27-16. It was 24 or 38 of 24. Um, 230 yards. He had two touchdowns, two sacks. They won against Philly, 35-31, 25 of 31. He had three touchdowns, one interception, and one sack. Then obviously you've got, the Seahawks 21-20. He was 22 of 30, 262 yards, one touchdown, one sack. Now, when I look at these stats, and it's specifically when I look at the Eagles game, uh, he had three touchdowns, one interception, one sack. He threw for 232 yards. He was 25 of 31. He had a QBR of 85.6. That Kyler Murray at his basic level, right? That's what you would expect from Kyler Murray on any given Sunday. So would it be kind of weird for me to say like maybe this was the year that the Cardinals just decided to tank because he was gone? Could I say that? Is it possible for me to say that? Since I'm excited to watch my guy Harrison this year for being Ohio State Buckeyes fan. Yeah, man. Without a doubt, Jacob says, please don't remind me that game. Yeah, right. Seminoles, what up, yo? Seminoles for the win in the house. What up? What's going on with you? OGs in the building. Like because we went through the schedule, right? And we looked at how many games they lost, right? They lost 13 games last season. And if you're a individual who looks at teams break things down, and if you look at, the way teams try to finesse the draft and things like that, and they know they're not going to have a winning season, why not keep tanking, right? To get the best possible, picks for your team. I mean, we see that all the time in the NBA, you know? So, sure, is all of it on Kyler Murray? Hell no, right? There's a lot that you can blame on coaching and, the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for sure. But I think at the end of the day, um, Kyler Murray knows that he's getting paid. And when you know that you're getting paid and you're kind of in the realm of not playing to your full potential, it becomes very easy to just slack off and be like, all right, it is what it is. I'll go out there and do what I can. So this is a long time no see. I'm hyped for this upcoming season. Go Bills. Let's go, bro. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready. Like I said, we're on 32 and 31. You guys know how we do. All July, we cover all 30 2 teams every night, 8 o'clock. We do it live. Always a good time, always fun, great conversations. Um, and I'm excited for this, right? And because these are the difficult conversations that people don't like to have. It's always, "Oh, it's gonna be great, and we're gonna do wonderful next year, and, we're it's all the problems are gonna be fixed. It's a new year." And I can't wait to get to my team because y'all know I'm most critical of my team. I'm critical. Y'all think I'm being critical now? I get so critical when I talk about my team because I say my team. I get critical when I talk about the Bills because I expect a certain level of greatness. I expect a certain level of this team having the ability to go out there and win. And I'm sure that if you are a fan for the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Patriots, whatever team that you're a fan of, you have the same mindset and the same energy towards expecting greatness from your team. So you're going to be critical as well. You're going to be that, armchair quarterback. You're going to break down the analytics. You're going to look at what, your favorite running back is doing and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, the most important part of any team winning is your superstar stepping up, a little bit of luck, and the team chemistry. And that's a reality. That's a reality. So, with that said, I do hope that the Cardinals can make something out of this season. Is it likely? I mean, I'll tell you this right now. I want my foot to be in my mouth. I want week 5 to come and I'm sitting there like, "Damn, the Cardinals really proved me wrong." I want that to happen. Will it happen? I mean, I bet on myself. I don't really bet no more, but I'll bet on myself because this is what we do. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the Cardinals are gonna have some trouble. They're gonna have their moments. We're definitely gonna see some moments, especially with the talent that they do have now and people that they picked up. There may be some nail biters. There may be some games where you're sitting there like, "Oh shit." But when it comes down to it, at the very end, in the 2-minute drill, down by 3, and Kyler Murray's got to come down the field and win this thing. Is he going to have the work ethic, and is he going to actually put in the work this season to be that man that can get the job done? And that's it. Shout out to you, Selena. She's like, "Nope, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen." No Border Sports, what up, yo? What's going on with you tonight? All right. Now that I beat down Kyler Murray enough, I will say this, right? I think if you go back and look at obviously where he started, 2019, 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Uh, 2020, 3,900 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 2021, 3,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Um, Even when you look at those 3 years, right? Because this is a relatively young career. This isn't, we're not saying Kyler Murray's old. We're not saying that he's past his prime. In fact, I think he's just getting to it. When you look at that, you know that he can get the job done. The question is he actually going to put in the work to get it done? Because years has been the slump, and obviously you can say, he was out 23 and all that kind of stuff. But you get into 22, he had 2,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and he was sacked 25 times. And then obviously last season, 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So you don't like to see it. His best year, some people would arguably say was 2021 because his QBR was 63.2. And I think for the quarterback that he is, you're not expecting him to do much better than what he can do. But what you're expecting him to do is just enough to get this team the victories that the organization, the squad, and the fans deserve, without a doubt. It's about that time of the year when we heard them boys say it's our year. It's almost that time. It is almost that time. Uh, says Lamb moving like Dez right now, and that's being unsure. I'll always be a Cowboys fan. Shout out to you, Selena. Cowboys fans in the house. Listen, we're gonna cover the Cowboys. We're like I said, we're covering all 32 teams in this July every night, 8 p.m. in alphabetical order. We got a lot to talk about with the Cowboys as well. Um, Specifically, we got to talk about America's team. Selena says, Jay, don't start. No Border Sports says Kyler might not be the one, and I feel this is his last year. No Border Sports, I'm right there with you, man. And I'll tell you this. I like I said, I do think that he's not at his prime yet, and if he is, he's just getting there. But this year and with the talent that he has, and I think I said it earlier, this will be his proving point, right? This will be the okay, you're either going to get it done or you're going to be a backup. And I'll be honest with you, considering what he's done so far for Arizona, if he completely bombs this year, I'd be very surprised if I even see him as a backup because Kyler Murray comes with a lazy work ethic at this point in his career. And coaches know that. Coaches and owners pay attention to that kind of stuff. You know, we hear talks about the Call of Duty and the playing the game and all that kind of stuff. Whatever, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, if you're playing great, nobody cares about that, right? If you're playing great, you're getting your team to the postseason. You might if you can get your team to a championship, even better. Super Bowl, that's the ultimate goal. They'll let some things slide. But, if you're losing almost every game, if you're losing almost every game in the season and, you're not studying that playbook and you're more so studying Call of Duty, then yeah, you're going to have a lot of people questioning what the hell they would need you for when they can go pick up somebody else. They can go get this rookie or they can go get this real veteran who's been studying the tape and studying film that actually knows how to go out there and actually get their team a potential victory or two. And so there's a lot of proving that comes into this year and whether or not Kyler Murray is going to be the man for the job moving forward past it for sure. For sure. Selena says, I doubt he'll be a backup, just not Cardinals anymore. You know, and I say this with the most respect for Kyler Murray. I think everyone as an athlete, right, has a certain point where they have the hunger, right? The hunger to go out there and be great. And I don't want to say it's gone for Kyler Murray. I do say we need to see it, right? Because if you're we haven't really seen Kyler Murray at his full potential, right? At 100%. He's had his great moments, and he's had some amazing victories. But we haven't seen a real full season of him actually going out there and giving it 110%, like laying it all on the line. Um, and that's going to be hard to see because I don't think at this point, he's going to be feeding into it like that. Um, no Border Sports says champion quarterbacks are obsessed about the small things. That's a fact, right? We're talking about studying film, learning the defenses, learning how to read the defenses, understanding the chemistry with your wide receivers, understanding how to maneuver through these high pressure game time decisions. I'm not going to say he doesn't have that ability, but what I am saying is if he does have that ability, he hasn't cared enough to show it, which that kind of goes hand in hand because why would you possess this talent or this skill but not put it out on the field where it matters the most? And so I think that's where we are with Kyler Murray, unfortunately, you know? And it sucks because I remember calling and streaming these games with you guys, and Kyler Murray's out there, playing amazing football, and they lose by a couple points. And then the next game, it's kind of like they just completely bomb. Everything was missing. All the magic was gone from that week before. And it was almost like all the energy was just, taken from this team. And it's kind of weird because you rarely see that. Some teams they have a bad week, they'll bounce back. They may lose in a close game, but then they'll bounce back. They kind of keep some consistency to it. But as far as, with the Cardinals, they just haven't been able to find that consistency, and I think that's a big problem. Big problem. Kyler will be a starter on another team, at least one before he's sent to the backup role. I mean, we'll see, right? Obviously, I don't want to see Kyler as a backup. I want to see him, be the franchise quarterback that we know he can be. But I think if he bombs this year, or if something catastrophic happens, injury wise, that could be all the difference in as far as in the conversation that we're having and whether or not he'll even be on any team for sure. No More Sports says Kittle would text Jimmy G about what he wanted to do in certain situations on certain plays, and Jimmy would never get back to him. Wow. Yeah, see, that's crazy. Because at the end of the day, if you're not communicating with your quarterback, what the hell are you doing? You know? And that's not to say like in regards to Kittle, but if Jimmy G's not giving the feedback that, you know, Kittle needs, then, he's not gonna essentially know what the hell to do, or be able to build basically on, the team itself and what they're designed to do. Yeah, look at where he's at. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, I think Jimmy G is he's a paycheck quarterback. He's what I like to call a paycheck quarterback. Um, I'm here. I'll sell you some jerseys. I know how to throw the football. Give me a paycheck. I'm not going to guarantee you a Super Bowl, but I'll get you some wins. So give me a paycheck. That's Jimmy G for sure. Jimmy G for sure. But yeah, you know, like I said, to to end this off in the way that I know that I want to and that I have to. Um, the bottom line is Kyler Murray having the talent to get this team in the right state of mind and to get them past teams that can be a true challenge solely rests upon whether or not he's going to take this off season, this training, and this camp serious than he's ever has. Because if it's me, and if I'm in that role, and I understand what's on the line this year and what has been given to me, I'm doing everything that I need to do in my power to make sure that I can lead this team that I have now to something not only just better, right? Because you've been at the bottom of the barrel. This should be your comeback season. This should be your wow, didn't see this coming with the Cardinals season. Because if there's any other time to do it, it's definitely now. So, like I said, we'll assess everything coming back through week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. We'll still break everything down week by week, but I'm hoping, I don't believe it, but I'm hoping that these Cardinals will be able to go ahead and have a decent season, and maybe they can shock us. Last and final question. Selena says, "Do you think Kyler is at the same level?" Oof. You know, it's hard to say because I'm not in the kid's mind, right? But I think at the end of the day, the reality is this: we haven't seen the Cardinals win anything truly significant under Kyler Murray, and I think that's where the reality hits. I think that's where you have to really sit back and look at the tape and see what he's done and some of his highlights, and then see where he's had full blown meltdowns into which you were just wondering what the hell is going on. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 32 and 31, your Arizona Cardinals. Make sure you're here tonight at 8 p.m. We're going to do this every night. All 32 teams covered in 31 days. It is your boy Jay. Thank you all for rocking with us. Shout out to the Risk Gang. Shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Last and final question. No Border Sports, as I've heard talk that Kyler is applying himself more, but we've heard stuff like that before and we're proved wrong later. Yeah, I mean, I'll wrap it up with this. We've had the conversation in regards to the contract, and they're putting in stipulations that he had to go study the playbook, and that was kind of crazy to me because it showed me that these people are okay with handing $200 million over to someone who doesn't give a damn about reading the playbook. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not hating on talent, but hey, I understand football enough, and I mean, I still got a little bit of an arm that if y'all just want to give away 200 million, I'll send you my number. Just make sure I got a solid offensive line. Everybody, have a good night. We'll see you all soon. Why do you extend a child who hasn't proved or applied themselves? I would have to think that at some point, someone's saying, well, I still believe in him. Because the person who writes the check is the one that would have to say that to write that check. So there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow night. Peace out. It's your boy Jay.